What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catchpolly again, sitting on the couch trying to buy some real estate from the comfort of my home. It's if you haven't been following any of my videos, I've been just looking at some of the fractional real estate investment platforms online. Today, I'm going to be looking at a property that I found on Lofty. It's one that looks pretty interesting to me, but I haven't finished due diligence yet. I'm thinking I might buy some, but we're going to take a walk through. I did quite a bit ahead of time because I've been I'm trying to keep these videos they're not short, but as short as I can, and try to cover still, a lot of the things that I think you should look at. Why should you care what I think about this property? I've been investing in real estate since 2005. I've been working in the industry that whole time as well. I've helped a lot of investors get their start. So I feel like I'm an expert in real estate, although I'm still a novice in these platforms. And so, I don't have a ton of money on Lofty. I've owned small pieces of 9 different properties that I've accumulated over the past month or so. Started investing in Groundfloor around that same time. That's investing in mortgages online. I'm actually going to give you a short update about that at the end of this video as well. Um, and I've done just a number of transactions in the real world here in San Antonio, Texas. Every year I probably help, I don't even know, but a lot of investors get started, and then plenty that have been buying for a long time. And so, what I'm trying to share with you is some of my experience on the types of due diligence that I would do buying some of these, some of the interests that are for sale. I say interest because it's not the whole property. You're buying a token that represents a small piece. And like, so for example, this home is broken up into 6,250 tokens. And so your ownership will be, depending on how many tokens you buy, percent of what the property is here. So we're just going to jump right into this. This is one in Florida. I think it's Dunedin, or I don't know how to say it, but it's 1580 Andover Drive. Um, it's just a little tiny, not a lot to look at. 2 bedroom, 1 bath, but it backs up to a nice, what appears to be a man-made lake. We're going to take a little look at that. One of the things that attracted me to this, that if you're not on the Lofty Discord, you should be. The co-owner, the person managing this property, seems to be really proactive in trying to make it a good investment. He actually, he mentioned that he bought the stove himself when it broke, instead of just charging it to the token holders, which I thought was really interesting. He's buying back tokens when they dip below a certain price, or at least he said that he's planning to. Uh, Both of those things, having a co-owner that really believes in the property and is trying to make it a good long-term investment, I think is helpful. I don't think that's enough, but that's one of the things that made me look at it. To me, it seems like some of them might have been this platform might have been a property for some people to drop their duds off. You can see that in some of the discounted tokens that I've been buying, but I think that this one seems to be pretty solid from what I've seen so far. This is kind of interesting. It looks like, part of that tub is just exposed, but I think this is a sliding door here so that you can access it. And that's actually kind of a smart feature, although I would have closed that if I were taking listing photos. One thing I do want to point out, these are definitely, AI generated furniture, or just it's virtually staged. This is not real life furniture. It could be people doing it as well, but I have a program that I use this in my agent business that can do the same thing for a vacant room. Um, Probably touched up the sky and did all that sort of thing as well. So that's why this property probably doesn't look quite so good in real life, but it is rented. It is. So I think that it's never going to look exactly like it was when it was listed. Anyway, I think the same thing. I think this outside has been touched up a bit. I really couldn't figure out what this was right here. If this is just a rock that's been painted or something, or if that's a pile of trash. I'm not sure. Whatever it is, it's not enough to deter me from getting this one. Um, it is, a corner property, which gives you a nice sized lot. I always like that. But let's keep going through the pictures. It looks like there's an addition, right? That's something interesting to know. I don't think it's a new one, but whenever you do have new ones, we're going to look closely at the square footage when we're looking at the appraisal, right? You want to make sure that the square footage in there matches up with what's in the description. And then if we, I'm not sure where I can look at, I'll have to look at that in the, if there's a county appraisal district or if there's a way to look at that. I'm not actually sure. This is the backyard. You can see, backs up. This is what it appears to just be a man-made body of water. That, there's just the homes are all around it. You have a nice workshop area, which, I think something like this is definitely will help to get longer term tenants. If you have someone who rents from you and they want a workshop, they're not going to find it in every property. Now, yeah, this is really, it's just a garage, but they've got the table set up, they've got the pegboard, they've got power to it and lights. That's something that is a nice amenity to have. Laundry room. So despite being, a fairly small property, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 1241 square feet, uh, I like it. I think the fact that it backs up to the water makes it pretty attractive. Obviously, like always, you're going to want to click on every link, look at the people, look at the title documents, all of that stuff. And a lot of that's what I did already. If I end up buying this, some of this today, it doesn't mean it's the right investment for you. I really am trying to show you what I do so that you'll do this yourself and not just say, oh, hey, he looked at this stuff and I'm going to buy it too. So, so okay, renovated single family home, 1/4 acre lot, non-flood zone. I like that he mentioned that, but I do also like to just look at the FEMA flood maps whenever there's any question at all. I do it all the time here in town because in San Antonio we have a lot of flood zones because we have a lot of rivers, and so it's something I haven't done enough for some of these lofty properties or haven't showed you me doing it. You can just go to the msc.fema.gov/portal, search. Really, if you just search, I usually find this by doing, just searching FEMA flood map interactive and that Googling that, and then I always find my way here. If I don't remember that it's the MSC, for some reason that part is always escapes me, and I don't use it much. But so you can see, you do have some flood zones, but none right here, which is nice. And so that is just, you can get a good view of the water there. Let's see, let's go back to the property. You can look at there's this appraisal that appraised for 345, but at the $50 token price when you put it up, that was the 310. Right now it's trading at 51.34, and there are no sell orders. So today, if I buy this, which I'm leaning towards at the moment, but we're going to do a little bit more looking. I'm going to try using the market order function. It's a little scary. I always like to use limit orders to protect myself from what they call slippage, but meaning that it buys some at too high of a price. But I'm going to give it a try and see how that works. You can look at the property management information and the agreement and what he's charging. Actually, this is one that I like to look at almost every single time because they stay on to manage it, and what is he doing? The initial term of the agreement, okay, how long it is, management fee 4.01% month of the monthly gross rent. That's a really reasonable number. You want to read through all of this stuff, but that's less than what most manage in my market, so that's interesting to see. He's added some notes on here. This is that story about him just deciding to pay for the stove out of his own pocket. Before we get down there, look at the leverage. There is a loan on the property. This is the responsibility of the current owner/seller. He pays that down and it dilutes us, and so this rental yield isn't forever. But it doesn't appear that he has a plan to pay that down quickly. When we look at the lease, you want to look at the lease agreement and see what the security deposit is. This took me a second to figure out what they actually meant here when they're saying it's $2,024. It's $1,999 a month, and then they're breaking up this $300 pet deposit over 12 months, and so that adds another $25. So apparently, this must be a non-refundable deposit. That varies from one place to the next, so I wasn't sure. The yeah, this I just had the lease agreement up, but you do want to take a look and see, what that lease looks like because we do have a tenant in place. And it's, through early next year. I have the next thing that I'm really concerned about is the value, right? So if you look at um, market cap, so 6,250 tokens. If we look at that at current prices, right, 6,250 times the 51.35, which is what it says the current market price is, we're talking about $320,000. Um, let's see, going back to the appraisal, I had been scrolling through this. He's got a price at 345. Which makes me feel pretty good. His original listing was at 310, which is what he bought it for last October. So again, it seems like you have somebody trying to, sell on this platform that is really trying to uh, make the purchase of this, these tokens, a good deal for the buyer as well. My guess is he's planning to use the platform quite a bit and just wants to, maintain a good relationship with the people that are willing to invest on here. Let's see. I know I talked about wanting to look on here, making sure the square footage of the property was what we were expecting. Subject sale price, price per square foot, site design, condition, age. Oh, right here, gross living area, 1,209 square feet. Does that match up with what he had told us? 1,241. Okay, that's a pretty small discrepancy. So, based on just seeing a lot of these, I don't think that discrepancy makes up for this whole, um, back portion of the property, which looks like it was an addition at some point. So I'm not really worried about that being the case, but it's something that you could look a little bit further into if you were. But that size being smaller than what he said doesn't bother me at all because it was appraised off of this smaller size. The next thing, just like always, I'm going to try to look at. Let's see. I like to use this map. Well, first, actually, let's check the market, right? That's one of the things I always like to do. This is actually the city itself. You can see, and I'm just on the Wikipedia page. It had a really rapidly growing population for a while. It shrunk 1%, then grew again, and then we've just had a little bit of shrinkage. Now you can see, well, actually, I should have just started here, right? Like your total amount is only 36,000 people, so a very small number of people changing um, can make all the difference on a small part. But this is just a small piece of a bigger market. We're actually in the Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater metropolitan area, which I already had that page open and it scrolled down to here. And this is a much bigger market, right? We've got over 3 million people. We've had rapid growth the whole time. They think it's even grown another 3% in this short period of time. This is the type of market that I really like. I know Florida has, some challenges as far as, insurance issues go. It has, but when you compare, it's a market that gets compared a lot to San Antonio, Texas, which is where I, buy and sell properties all the time. And so I talk to a lot of people that are choosing between here and there. And some of the things they like better, their property taxes are lower. They have similar landlord friendly laws. One of the things that, you do have to worry about a little bit there is hurricanes and insurance. And it's significantly worse than it is for us. I think that I'm okay with that risk. And, especially one of the things I know I keep talking about looking at these as properties as a whole, but every once in a while I'll slip back into I'm making a very small investment into this property. And so I don't mind taking, some of those risks that are sort of low, there's a low chance of them happening in the long run, even if they'd be catastrophic. I don't mind as much if it's on a cheaper property. if it's if I buy this, I'm going to put $1,000 into it tonight. It's not going to be me going and putting a whole down payment on a property here locally. So I checked the Zillow price, and they're right. They're saying it's worth right around what he paid for it. So it's a little bit lower than our current token price. I'm okay with that. I mean, being $10,000 off, I don't think Zillow is always perfect on that. They do have a rent estimate. It took me a little bit of searching to get this to pop up. Zillow's front page looks different in different markets, which is kind of interesting. But so this rent estimate's much higher than the $2,000 that we're currently getting. My guess is that this is just not great info that they're pulling to get this, because a lot of time the Zillow numbers I'm not super confident in. Let's see, what are we on next? Realtor gave us the same. This is the last sold. Their estimated market value is $349, so that's really close to what the what the appraiser said. So that makes me feel pretty good about the value. You can spend some time on each of these sites and get quite a bit of good info too, and that's something that if I were going to put larger sums in each property, I might start doing a little bit more of that. One of the things we have to think about is, how much time we spend doing this relative to the amount of money that we're putting in. If you watched my video last night, I bought something. It's only $180. If everything goes perfectly with that one with the sale, I might $20 or $30, and it's so it was worth spending a few minutes on, but it's definitely not worth doing a whole bunch of due diligence on. Looked on Redfin. Actually have a crazy estimate of it. I don't have any idea how they're so far off the other two. I would just, whenever you have outliers like this, I pretty much ignore it. If it was especially if it's on the high end, if this were really low, I would worry that they had some info that the other ones didn't, and I'd maybe dig into what they were doing a little bit more there. But as it is, I think that that's fine. So we have, plenty of justification for the value. I want to look at the rents. We saw that rent on Zillow. Their estimate was way above what we're getting. This is Rentometer. Again, I don't have the paid one right now, and so we're just getting. I put a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and we're getting some very generic results. You'll see we're right at the average and the median. I mean, we're right there, right? And so it's a pretty tight grouping for properties this size, and so that makes me feel real good about that number. And so let's get back to the investment itself, or to the property page. One of the things that I pointed out a few times, where I want to just keep really hammering this point home. If you're comparing properties across different websites, you have to make sure you're looking at the same things. So, when they're giving you what your rental yield is and your returns, they're really just looking at this cash flow number. And when you look at this cash flow, this is a calculation of annual gross rents minus property taxes, minus homeowners insurance, minus property management fees, their annual DAO LLC administration fees. These have to do with the platform. And then they're spitting out your cash flow. So this does not take into account vacancy. They're annualizing the current rent, which is why when you have a tenant disappear, they drop this down to the zero. And so normally, if I were underwriting a property like this, I'd have a vacancy and collection loss that I'd build into this number. So this isn't a cap rate, that you'd look at as a market cap rate. They don't have any repairs and maintenance. They just, in the months that those happen, they put those in. And so, that's the same thing. You'd want to have vacancy collection loss built in. You'd want to have repairs and maintenance built in. You'd want to have a CapEx built in. When you did all those things, this is not a 6.48 cap rate. This is not going to be your yields, unless you have a perfect year. That's never actually going to be your rental yield. Both should be lower. And so you don't want to just take these at face value. Despite that fact, I think that you're going to get a good, you're going to get a good yield. At least I think you will. If everything turns out to, works out the way that it's planned, that tenant stays in place, they continue to pay rent, you don't have any major repairs, even if you have some issues come up, you can see there's still the opportunity for some good yield there. I actually think I'm just going to go ahead and pull the trigger on this. I'm going to put, I think I really talked myself into it. I think there's a lot of things that are justifying a value pretty close to this value. You can see they put very little as far as closing costs. Like this is really just what he purchased it for in the past. And so I think even at this additional price plus the lofty fees, I'm okay with that. We had a couple separate points of data to look at, and that make me think that rent is in line with the market. I don't think they just put some high-paying tenant in to be able to sell this. There's not, it is just a traditional rental, so there's not a whole lot else to look at. Obviously, you want to look at, this is something that you're going to, you really want to look at all this stuff before you buy it, right? The inspection report, there were some things that they took care of out of this, if I recall, and sometimes I'm starting to get these confused, but I think that they did maybe a hot water heater or some electrical work after this. Whatever it was, based on the information, I ended up getting comfortable with it. But it's something that you want to dig into a little further before you pull the trigger, depending on your risk tolerance. But in any case, let's look at this again. So we have, we've got nothing listed, so I can't use I could put a limit order out there and then just wait. What you've seen me do so far is just look for ones that have a sell order that I'm happy with. I put a limit order for just those. I think I could put a market order and they'd go, but the limit orders just they protect you a little bit, from the market price moving up. And the way that these markets are really thin, I think that you could get hurt, but I'm really not sure. I'm going to just try it. I'm going to try a market order on here. So let's see. I haven't done one of those yet. Let's see how that goes. I am going to buy, I want to put $1,000 in. So that's going to be what? Maybe right around, what happens if I do 19 tokens? Let's see. I'm just going to do 20 tokens. Just do a round number of tokens. 20 tokens. Doing a market order. It ends up being 1110. This will be the most I put in one property. But it's going to be a little bit different on every one. Let's see. So it's saying, so this is the current market price 5139. What's this? And it actually explains to you, like, hey, if you're, you have a risk if you're buying a lot of tokens, it'll be more expensive. I'm going to use my Lofty wallet, the USDC. These are the fees. So what do those include? They include this, which is a 3% fee from Lofty, and then operating reserve. And then what is this? Market lending fee. Market orders are made possible by individuals lending assets to enable instant execution. Oh, that's interesting. So that's an additional cost that if I put a limit order in, I wouldn't be paying. I'm going to have to, I wasn't aware of that, right? So let's see. What happens though if let's see, we're doing 6250 is the total token. So if we do 110.60 divided by 20. So I'm really paying $55.53 per token. I'm going to multiply that. 6250. It's really like after fees, I'm paying $347. It's a little bit more than the appraisal by $2,000. But if you buy a property, you pay closing costs. Like, I don't think I want to get hung up on those issues as much. I think, the fees are relatively reasonable. I didn't know this about the market order, so I might stick to limit orders in the future. Yeah, I think I'm still going to do it. I've been having a hard time finding ones that I'm excited about putting money into that have tokens available, and that's why I'm going to start using these market orders and see how that works out. So let's preview that order. 20 tokens, Lofty Wallet, USDC, 51.40 per token. Okay, looks like that moved a tiny bit. So it's saying that I'm going to have some slippage here. 42 cents per token. Interesting. So final price 51.81 plus the fees. I'm going to go ahead and submit that order. See how that goes. So obviously that's quite a bit more pricey than if I had put the limit order in. I'm paying another. I've got some slippage, but maybe I wouldn't have been able to find tokens that were the cheaper amount anyway. And then I have some additional fees. I still, I like this home a lot. So for me, I think this is going to be a good investment. It's one that I hope that you just get to hold on to, experience that return for a while. But we'll see. Okay, just like always, this just hangs up for a little while. While that's thinking, like I told you, I'm going to give you a little bit of an update on Groundfloor. Oh, I think that just popped up right there. Uh-oh, market. Oh, this looks different than the other one. Market order completed. View your transaction on the blockchain. I'm going to save that. Okay. Let's see. Let's go. I told you I'm going to give you an update on Groundfloor. So let's do that now. This is one where we've been putting, I'm putting some money in to buy pieces of mortgages. I think you've probably seen me do this, once before. I have all these open orders because some of them just haven't closed yet. But I'm using their investor wizard. When I went to do it a second time, there weren't very many mortgages left that I hadn't already invested in, and so I didn't realize that was going to be a problem. But now that I've waited a little while, some again. Oh, log in here. So my password is all these dots. Okay, good. So now I'm at the market order. I'm going to do another 5,000. Ooh, it's less again. So it had gone up to 17. Now it's back down to 11. So if I do 5, all right, let's go back out. Let's go and look at this invest tab because what happened to those? There were, all right, let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then all the ones in blue I have, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I guess I slacked off and those sold out. So, my concern is I'm putting too much into each individual loan. But the more I think about it, I'm putting $1,000 per property on the other platform. These, and then when I'm doing the ones that I'm not doing a ton of due diligence, it's significantly less. What did I do wrong here? Why is it showing nothing? Okay. Let's go back. Let's go back again. The 5,000. Next. Moderate strategy. Review. Okay, good. Now, so yeah, it's putting 460 into each one of these. 460 or 450. It'll add it all up for you. These are all the B's and C's now. There was a D, but that's gone. So, these are all what they consider their more moderate risks. They're all going to have relatively low loan to values based on the ARVs. I think, this is the highest one I've seen, 78.66. Wonder what they got going on with that one. This is one if you really wanted to get more granular, you might want to look at, hey, why is that one so much different? But the things that they're doing is actually looking at the borrower itself, the market. There's going to be other reasons why they're comfortable going up higher there. And then your return is just the interest rate that's blended. So anyway, let's go through with that. Click that purchase wizard. This is what I like about this. It's really easy. It tells you what your blended rate is. You can put that total amount in. Because it's debt, I feel like you're in a much more secure position. And so I've just been a lot happier with this platform as far as like, basically everything one is the same. And so I spent a lot of time looking at individual ones. And, it took me a while to get comfortable with what they're doing, how they're looking at the loans. But once I got there, then I really just I went and said, okay, look, I'm just going to get pretty wide diversification. I'm going to pretty regularly buy pieces of several, And that's just what I'm going to do going forward. Every time I put some money in, I'm just going to help whatever loans are out there that fit what that moderate strategy. I'm just going to do it. It doesn't mean that that's the right, answer for you, but it's something I think that is worth looking into. I like that a lot. Um, and like I said, what I'm trying to do is explore several of these platforms, because, not everybody is ready to buy their first investment property. And if you're not, and you're looking for some other ways to get some real estate exposure, I think there's a lot of different ways today that we didn't have 20 years ago when I got started. And there's also a lot of them that I think are scammy, or ways that you could lose money if you're not paying a lot of attention. And I'm trying to, one, I'm definitely making some of those mistakes myself, and that's why I'm starting off with smaller sums of money. But it's something that you really just want to pay attention and uh, learn as much as you can, and that's why I'm trying to share what I've learned. I'm also been watching a lot of videos, spending a lot of time just poking around on here. Basically, just like I always say, and I'm going to say it, and until next time, I'm going to just keep making mistakes so that you don't have to.